They will be out there with guns and everything, and that's what this is. I've been saying it for a long time. Crazy people and the government, they're watching these events carefully and they see the glorification of the assassins, the shooters, and between the psychedelic drugs, the weed, the chat GPT induced psychosis, the porn, the internet, the prescription drugs, this cocktail of reality altering experiences. You have more crazy people than ever. They're all seeing this stuff and they're all making their plans. They're all scheming. And it's really just a matter of time. This is like you have live minds, like explosive minds everywhere, and we're just waiting to step on them. We're waiting for the next cycle to pop up, waiting for the next nut job to go around.
See it now.
So John Oliver told them that Trump is a
I can see
dictator,
it now.
and we're going to get part of it until and unless the Trump government is going to take seriously and crack down. I support it at this point, but they're not going to do it. So they say they're going to deploy another 500. Okay, big win. You know, this is the Capitol. This is your law enforcement are being shot next to the White House. And you increase the deployment by 20%, you need to increase it by 5,000%. Obviously. And people are watching. They see National Guard getting shot, and crazy people are saying, wow, that easy? And I'm not trying to give people ideas, but that's what people are thinking. And I said it during the ICE riots at the detention facility here. I said, watch, the next thing that's going to happen, some ICE guy is going to get killed. And then it's going to escalate to a whole different level. The only difference is now they shot 2 National Guard in D.C. Slightly different. But it's not cool. And it just goes to show. Sometimes it's better if your guy loses. It's better to not even bark up that tree. Because look at what Trump is bringing out on the windows. Like we kicked out Biden, who was weak and senile, and the left was going down, and we brought in Trump. And Trump is now killing our side single-handedly, and he's inviting the left to refortify, regroup, and become maybe more vicious than ever because he's not serious. And that's the thing. I would love if he was. I don't like to sit here and hate on Trump all the time. But you know what? That's why people like him, and that's what people wanted, and I would like him if he delivered, but it isn't there, and that's putting all of us in jeopardy. People are looking at this and saying, wow, it's kind of stupid, isn't it? 2 National Guards just got caught with their pants around their ankles. They just got shot. And the guy got there. And they arrested him, obviously, but he was able to get it off. This is a very ominous sign. It's very worrisome, and I don't like where this is going because this is now a part of a bigger pattern. Trump gets shot. Another guy shows up at Mar-a-Lago. Luigi Mangione kills the CEO. Then you get a couple of transgender mass shootings. We had that one in Minneapolis not too long ago. Then you get the Charlie Kirk shooting. You get the attacks on ICE, the attacks on National Guard. This is all part of the same story, by the way. And the government doesn't even seem to have a message on it, let alone a solution. There's no messaging from the White House. The policy sucks. There's no solution. So we're strapped in for 3 more years of this, and I don't like it. It's like, again, what is the Trump government really doing for you if now we're literally being shot by the left? Like, do you realize that Charlie Kirk being shot by whoever shot him, that was a failure of the Trump administration? At the minimum, you expect that when your government is in power, your people don't get shot in the fucking head. And if they do, you're going to burn the whole village down. You know, you're going to burn the whole forest down. You're going to destroy everybody you've thought about. That should be the benefit of being in power. But Trump gets elected, we start getting shot. How is this good for us? His own loyalists are quitting because they don't want to get shot. It's what it is. To simulate we have Dave Fuentes, we have a great show for you tonight. Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We have a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Wednesday. We have a lot to talk about tonight, lots to get into. Big show. Our featured story, we're talking all about the terror attack in Washington, D.C. by an Afghan refugee. I'm sure you've heard the news. Very tragic, very sad, but also very predictable. No surprises. Very sad, but not surprising at all.
I'm on my way.
I've been talking about this throughout the year. The violence, political violence is just beginning. From the left against the right, from the left against law enforcement, maybe from law enforcement itself, from the intel agencies. And it's more confusing than ever. We don't even know where these attacks are coming from necessarily, or why they happen, to what end. They could just as easily be what they appear to be, which is attacks from partisans against other partisans, or they could be psychological events intended to change the political dynamic. And we'll talk tonight all about it. Earlier today, 2 National Guard soldiers were shot in Washington, D.C., about a mile from the White House. A killer ambushed them, shot them in the head with a handgun. They are both in critical condition, although it was reported earlier falsely they had died. It appears that they are still alive, although severely wounded. The shooter was apprehended, and he is a 29-year-old Afghan who was brought into the United States under a particular program under President Biden after the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan. And in particular, many of the Afghans that were brought here following the withdrawal in 2022 were collaborators with the U.S. military. Translators, soldiers, mercenaries, people that worked with U.S. soldiers and special forces, Afghan locals were brought into the United States, most likely to spare them from certain death or persecution under the Taliban. And this shooter was one of those people. 29 years old, Afghan, had been brought here under that program. Visa was approved earlier in the year. I believe the application was 24. He received it in 25. He's been here. The family says he's loyal to the United States, but apparently not. Witnesses say he shouted Allahu Akbar before he shot the soldiers, but that's not confirmed. And we'll talk tonight all about it. There's 2 stories here. There's 2 angles. One story, which is sort of apparent, is that a Muslim refugee from the Middle East who shouldn't have been here came to the United States and shot soldiers because he hates our way of life, because he is a Muslim extremist. He harbors anti-American attitudes. That's one story. Another story is that a close collaborator with U.S. forces for 10 years, working hand in glove with the U.S. military, was rescued by the United States, brought to the nation's capital, and then attacked National Guard in D.C. The parents don't know why. They say he loved the United States. They said he worked with the United States for over a decade. What are we to make of this? Is this authentic? Is this Islamic fundamentalism? Or is this some sort of incident concerning former U.S. military personnel, which would raise a lot of questions about what exactly happened? It's early to say. It only happened earlier in the evening, and we only just identified the suspect, or sources close to the DOJ did earlier today. And so we'll talk all about that tonight. That'll be our main story. Very tragic, very sad. The larger story, of course, is that this country is unraveling. And we predicted this, but this is not a crazy prediction. When Thomas Crooks shot Donald Trump, every psycho in the country noticed. And they saw the infamy, and they saw the potential. And when Luigi Mangione shot the CEO of United Healthcare, the way he was lionized, the way he was sexualized, every psycho, again, noticed, and they started devising their plans. They started scheming. And ever since then, we saw the assassination of Charlie Kirk, attacks on ICE, National Guard. Now this, it's only going to escalate. It's only going to get worse. And it could be organic and it could be fake. It could be fake to exacerbate organic violence. And at a certain point, it takes on a life of its own. They light the fuse and the whole thing blows up. So it's a scary time. Everybody be safe. Holiday season's coming up. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. Christmas soon after that. Gotta be careful. Have to be vigilant because things are not as they seem. These are strange times. Drone attacks. I've been saying this. This is my next prediction. Screenshot this. We are going to see a drone-based terror attack on a mass gathering. I would imagine within the next 18 to 24 months. It's not hard to predict that. It's not hard to see that one coming. Russia's making 1.8 million drones per year. Ukraine is making millions of drones. It always happens like this.
Unit lost.
You think all those weapons are created? Some of them don't wind up in the hands of the wrong people? Can't control them. People aren't ready. So I think we're due for another very turbulent period of time in our political history. But if we're not already, but we'll talk all about that. Rose going to talk tonight about Marjorie Taylor Greene's epic crash out on a lighter note. Oh, yeah, you guys, this is why we play. We shouldn't, but we shouldn't. It's not right, but this is really why we do it. This is what makes it so rewarding. We live for this. Do we live for this? Or do we live for this? This is why we get out of bed. This is why we brush our teeth. This is why we do it. This is why we go to work. It makes it all worth it. Marjorie Greene, never been a fan. Never been a fan of women in politics. Better yet, never been a fan of women in general. Pause. Never been a fan of women in politics. Never been a fan of a woman in Congress who's going to be the leader of the populist movement. Sorry, not my first choice. And me and Marjorie, we've had our feud. We've had our beef in the past. Tucker Carlson's giving me a hard time. He says, why you Marjorie? She's sincere. Okay, well, she's an idiot. So she could be sincere or she's an idiot. And we had problems. We've had problems. And just when I thought I was going to have to put that aside for the sake of the movement, I was going to have to get along with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She reminded me that I'm always right. She resigned from Congress last week, and everybody wondered why. They said, does she have this sophisticated political agenda? Does she have these ambitions for higher office? Is she running for governor? Is she running for president? She has surged to 6% chance of being the nominee on Polymarket. Stop the presses! Put a stop on the Marjorie Greene options and calls. No. She didn't resign because she wants to run for president. She resigned because it got too hard. Because the pressure got to be a little too much. Southern belle, early hominid, Georgian girl, can't play in the man's game. Can't play in politics. If you can't take the heat, maybe it's time to get back in the kitchen. Can't take the heat? Can't take the pressure? Maybe it's time to get back in the kitchen. Thanksgiving is upon us. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes. Thanks. So Marjorie Greene, she's out. She left Congress. And like I said, everybody thought she was going to run for president. And it turns out she just quit because she freaked out. And she went on Twitter today and she had an absolute typical female meltdown. Typical female meltdown. This is why you can't put women in politics. Thank you, Marjorie. I really should send her a thank you note. Thank you, Marjorie, for proving to everybody this is why you can't let women in politics, because they just cry. Because they just cry. When shit gets too hard, they just cry. And you can't cry in politics because we have to save our country. We need the police. We need the National Guard to break the backs of our enemies. And it turns out you can't cry. You can't just have an emotional crash out. You can't have an emotional bitch fest because you're upset. This is what happens. So Marjorie is on Twitter. Mike Cernovich, finally alive, left her a very innocent reply. He said, you should have continued and served out the full term. You should have finished what you started. And Marjorie launches this big screed. She says, "What? I should serve out my term? Why don't you run for Congress?" That's what she says. "You should get off your ass and run for Congress. I was fighting so hard." She goes and she says, "Well, what do you want? You want me to die like Charlie Kirk? Is that what you want? You want me to get killed like Charlie Kirk?" Are you kidding me? A congresswoman to Mike Cernovich, all he said was, you really should have finished out your full term. It's only 2 years. That's not a long time. 2 years? You're halfway through. Just, hey, run through the finish line. Run through the first baseline. He said, just finish. He goes, "Why? You want me to get killed? Why don't you get off your ass? Quit stopping the keyboard warrior and put the phone down and you run." Oh my gosh. Women in politics. And the only thing that I regret is that I wasn't with other people. I wasn't with the men, so we could all kind of share the known facts. Get a load of this psycho bitch crashing out. Get a load of the emotional meltdown. Oh boy, here we go. That's the only regret. I was like in bed on Twitter. Then it gets better. She comes back for more. She can't help herself. She comes back for seconds. She's a glutton. She's a woman of consumption. She comes back for more. She quote tweets her own tweet, her own crash out on a different account. On her official Congresswoman account, and she says, "I'll say this in the nicest way I can. Fuck you." And then she launches into yet another tirade, this time directed at men specifically. She said, "Typical man, typical Republican man. You expect for dinner on the table, but I've been telling you that the trash hasn't been taken out and the dishes aren't clean." And she closes it by saying, "I'm going to tell you, Republican men, make your own dinner, asshole, and clean up when you're done." Okay? The Congresswoman from Georgia, Representative Green, this is a sitting Congresswoman. She says, "Such a typical Republican man. Make your own dinner, ass, and clean up when you're done." It's like, oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Christmas came early, man. Black Friday came early. What a gift to us misogynists. What a gift. Thank you. A gift to the misogynistic men in your life. Classic example of why you can't have any women in politics. Love it. Thanks, Marge. Seriously. You are the gift that keeps on giving. We love it. I really appreciate it. So we'll talk all about that. Honestly, this is fun. There's really nothing happening in the news today. We're just going to have fun with that one. I waited so long to see that. The games we have to play, we have to pretend to like these people. Hey, Representative Green. Oh, love your hair. Love your white coat. Love your giant white parka when you're screaming at Biden like an idiot. Oh, love that. It's awesome. I love being represented by like a divorced blonde. But this is great. Anyway, so we'll get into it. Before we do, I want to remind you to smash the follow button, smash the like button, leave a comment below anything about the show. Get your Lucky Stop store. We have credit cards now. We got the hats, we got the shirts. America First Got Plus if you want to subscribe and become a Plus member, $15 a month, to get access to the whole archive of the show. Excuse me, $100 a month, you get access to a group chat with me. Yeah, like I said, not too much happening in the news. It's been since the slowdown around the holidays. I will say though, some very ominous developments in the Middle East. And I probably should have done at least one show before the holiday, but I'm sure I'll get to it next week. Two very ominous developments, which is one, ongoing crisis in Lebanon. About a year ago exactly, Israel strategically defeated Hezbollah with their series of Patriot radio attacks, followed by waves of airstrikes and ground operations. They say that Hezbollah has been reconstituting itself, rearming itself. And so Israel and Washington have applied pressure to the Lebanese government, the actual government, to finish the job for them. They want to compel the Lebanese civilian government and the Lebanese military, the standing army, to disarm Hezbollah. Because Hezbollah is the largest or most well-equipped non-state military in the world, at least they were up until about a year ago. Israel and Washington are pressing the advantage, telling Lebanon you need to make it illegal for Hezbollah to be armed to the teeth like this. You need to disarm them. Lebanese government has been dragging their feet. They won't do it. They don't want to confront Hezbollah. Hezbollah is protecting Lebanon. And so it has just been authorized, apparently. The United States has just authorized Israel to take matters into their own hands and to demilitarize Hezbollah themselves. So we might see some major operations in Lebanon very soon. Israel claims to have killed the leader of Hezbollah in strikes recently. They've been bombing Lebanon. The other development is that Israel, for the second night in a row, has been running what appears to be military drills inside of Iraq along the Iraq-Iran border. And they're not firing projectiles, they're not launching anything, but the Israeli Air Force has been flying what appear to be these military drills along the Iraqi border, seemingly to simulate potentially new strikes against Iran. And I've been telling you all year, I really believe that we have not seen the end of that. There was a piece in Foreign Policy magazine at the end of the summer. It said the timeline for a renewed Israeli offensive against Iran is probably going to come this fall. This fall that we're in right now. And the reason being is because the Israelis will upset the president if they renew airstrikes against Iran during the midterms. That will hurt Trump politically. They won't have as much leverage in what they're saying. So if they want to make a move against Iran before 2027, after the midterms are finished and the new Congress is seated, then they're going to have to do it now. They're going to have to do it in the fall. They're going to have to do it maybe before the end of the year. And so we are really in a high level of alert for a potential surprise attack by Israel against Iran. Now, at the same time, it could be the case that Israel is merely doing these things either A, to give Iran the impression that an attack is imminent, so they may negotiate, or more likely, option B, they are doing these things to provoke Iran to strike them first. Because whoever launches the first strike will have the advantage. And the thing about Iran, its capabilities are its missiles. Its missile launch platforms, underground missile making facilities. These are stationary targets. Israel knows where they are. And so if Israel launches the first strike, they will take out the comms, they will take out the radar, they will go in heavy and hard, they will destroy the ground-based missiles that Iran has been rebuilding. And so that means the missiles are use them or lose them. You either use them or you'll lose them in airstrikes against Israel. And if Israel has that first mover advantage, they could make it so that Iran cannot scramble its air force to defend Iran, and Israel's they're going to get a free shot. And so this time there's there has been some speculation that maybe Iran will strike
Time to
first.
take them out.
If they feel that an Israeli preemptive strike is imminent, then Iran might preempt the preemptive strike. They might hit Israel first because they're going to lose the missiles anyway.
Wait, I got
So is
enough.
that why
I
they're
got enough
flying
forces
these
to win now.
very obvious drills?
I got
Who
3
knows?
extractors.
But so things are heating up again in the
They
Middle
probably
East.
have 3.
That's which is something to keep an eye on. Like I
They're
said,
dead.
I wish I had
We're
spent
coming in.
a little more time on it this week, but who knows? We might see something interesting timing. Might be Thanksgiving for that to happen. I don't know that for a fact.
We're
but,
coming in. I'm bringing the full
you know, we'll
fucking
see. Maybe
army.
we'll talk about it next week. But
Fuck it.
that's
I'm
pretty
calling
much the
in.
major
Let's
thing
let
that's
this.
happening. We covered the war in Ukraine yesterday.
I got-
It was really funny. So just briefly on this, then I promised we're going to get out of the news.
Dude, I got
So we
1,
covered the
2,
Ukraine negotiations last
3,
night.
4 squads and motorbikes.
And we read through the 28-point plan by Trump, and
Hold on.
we read through the latest on whether Ukraine is going to accept this new
I
deal
want-
being pushed by
I
Trump.
want mad squads and
We talked
motorbikes.
about the dynamics of the conflict, and there was so much optimism about the deal. If you read the papers yesterday or the day before, they said this is the one. It's being received well by Russia, and
Can I do
Ukraine
this?
and
Can I put
Washington are almost on the same
F1,
page. They're just filling out
Control
these final
F10?
details. And then we get a statement today from the Russian Foreign Ministry,
No.
and they totally
I could do this though.
poured cold water all over this. The
I
Russian
can do
Foreign
F1.
Ministry, maybe a spokesperson for the Kremlin came up
Pull
today
up the
and said,
units.
we don't even have
Shift.
we
I
don't
think.
have the
Let's just
proposal.
try.
And
So it's 3.
they say
Then
well,
Control
what's in there
F10
covers
go.
quite a lot of
So I can create a full
consideration,
squad. You know what I'm
and
saying?
there's items in there that they don't.
F1. I don't have any more. I can put
Over
in
and over
F10.
again. I witnessed it with Gaza.
Oh, yeah.
I witnessed it with Ukraine. And you know, to show you know that you can't just read the headlines, because the headlines will tell you every week and every month peace is almost about to break out. They're gonna have a summit. They're gonna have a
All right,
meeting.
F10's at its
Finally
limit.
agreed. And it never happens. And that happens in Gaza. It happens in Ukraine. And so I think I saw it early this morning.
Well, I should build some missile scouts, bro.
There's nothing
Just 'cause
like a deal at all.
How do I stop the
Zelensky's going
production?
right past the deadline. He doesn't even agree with the whole plan. The Russians haven't seen it. They apparently don't even like it. So I think
Put F1 with
not within
F9.
range yet. But anyway, that's just a little news
Yeah.
update on some of these other things. I
Look
usually
at
get
some,
into the green meltdown.
Oh shit, I can build a walker now?
And I'll just briefly read through it.
They're too fucking slow
But
though.
first, we'll give
I
you
want to build some
background here.
missile tank.
We covered
missile
this last
scouts.
On Friday,
That's pretty
Marjorie
cool.
Greene surprised the whole country. She goes on Twitter and she releases a video statement with a written
There
transcription.
we go. We got some
And she
action
announces
going
that
on.
she is resigning from Congress.
Fucking Mueller's
Which is a
coming
huge
in, dude.
surprise because she's very popular in her
They're making
district.
a
She's a
stand.
national figure. She's a big fundraiser.
Look at them.
I think her seat is probably safe.
Offensive unit
If
lost.
she were to seek re-election, she would most likely win. The timing was interesting.
I figured they'd
She
kill
is
more.
now in an open and
Dude, 'cause-
very public and very
Ooh, turn
severe
this down.
feud with the president. And this is concerning the Epstein files, among other things. Marjorie over the
Mueller's
broken
are
a few issues on his
just an all-around pretty badass weapon that the Scions
other
have.
statements about immigration on the government shutdown.
I'm about to get in a tank here in a second.
Under attack.
What?
And of course, what happened last week is that this feud
Don't make me call my entire military on there.
called out Marjorie directly on
Where's the archer?
They wrote like 3 paragraphs about it.
Where's the fucking archer?
He officially unendorsed her, withdrew his support, even said that he would make sure that the
This is what I'm talking about.
Under attack.
Onward. Yes.
Where's he at? It's the part I hate. You can't find him.
To force the House to vote.
Where's the mortar coming from?
It passed almost
Under attack.
unanimously in the Senate,
Where?
and it's headed to the president's first signature. And it was after this that Marjorie resigns. And so, like, how these things are. People said maybe she's not confident she can win an election if Trump is trusting the primary. And I said maybe she wants to run. She doesn't want to in a really contentious primary.
Gordon.
Go looking for people in their closet and things like that. I said it's probably more likely that in fact, I don't know if it's maybe she got gun shots, maybe she
God damn. Dude, Archer's a bitch, bro.
who knows? But clearly the timing was
Oh,
Trump attacks her on a Sunday, the bill passes
this place
on Friday. Boom, boom, boom.
has gotta be,
Connected. And look,
it's gotta be over
very
somewhere.
optimistic about it though. They said, well, she's just gonna run for president. They said,
Alright, so I'm gonna grab,
run for president. Her odds in Poly Market just went up. Now in third place. And just
you know what? They're scouts.
you know,
Wait,
that
Gordon.
doesn't make any sense because
Gordon.
if you run for president
Hunter.
in a
You
president,
guys are about to do your job, you fucking scout.
a sitting officer, you want to run as the congresswoman, not the former congresswoman. And if you want to get people excited about a presidential run, then you want your donors to be enthusiastic. You want them to be.
Boing.
You don't want to pull out a year before the year will begin. It doesn't really send the right message. So she does all this,
Right.
and then she comes out a couple of days later and she says, "I am
You guys,
the president at all."
let's go find their fucking house.
In France. Wait, Gordon. Onward.
Like really stinking statement. This was a few days ago. Because the statement is different. Contrary to this
Is this Hoover here? Where's their fucking
this
face?
really ugly race.
There it is.
Why would I run for
Go
president? You
away.
can't change anything. The system's rigged.
Alright, Tommy Killmore.
You're begging for money, sacrificing my health, and having no social life. Only in Washington and not be able to change anything.
Offensive unit lost.
People for money.
Offensive unit lost.
Right? You're
Yeah, you guys are fucked.
You're personal.
Offensive unit
Lost.
lost. Offensive unit lost.
Then you couldn't check out hot new restaurants in Arlington, Virginia.
Offensive unit
You're not going to have a
lost.
personal life. You're a representative in the United States Congress. You're the fight for what does
Offensive
that mean? You're gonna
unit
be-
lost.
This is my
Offensive
with all of
unit
these people.
lost.
It really does not mean
Offensive
that-
unit lost.
that's
Offensive
else.
unit lost.
But even
Offensive
Bring him up.
lost. Offensive unit lost. Offensive
Bye-bye,
unit
guys.
lost. Offensive unit lost.
Goes to political events and goes to
I
Congress
win.
and she's
That was fun.
we're we're fighting for America. And then she writes a statement like that.
See y'all next time.
This like
Mega Bobson out.
bitter, resentful.
Next time I'm gonna put my force on small and their force on large.
You can't change anything.
See how it goes
I'm
in.
gonna sacrifice my personal life.